Hello and welcome to the show. This week's Will It Roll theme is Top Gear Challenge cars. I saw this one suggested a couple of weeks back and I thought it was really interesting, so I'm going to give it a go. Now I am rather restricted to what cars I can use because a lot of the cars I've used in Top Gear Challenges aren't in Forza. Also a lot of the modifications they've done aren't in Forza either. For example, I can't put the Lotus wheel spikes on this Fiat Coupe. It just can't be done. So yeah, I am kind of restricted by that sort of thing. Also by my memory, because I've done most of this from memory. I'm trying to remember, so I've probably missed some glaringly obvious cars, but I've got a good selection, I think. So yeah, we're going to give it a go. Now, I'm starting with the Fiat here, because this actually has been rolled before. I only remembered this after I'd done all this filming, so I thought, I might as well include this. We rolled this in our 200th video, but you never actually talked about it. It was just a very brief segment on this car. So I thought, I'll give it a go, since it was one of the challenge cars I remember, and quite a distinctive challenge car. I'll give it a go. Also, I really like this car. As I've said before, it's one of the possibly the best handling front-wheel drive car, at least the best handling front-wheel drive car stock. It's a really very good car to drive. I was expecting it to be a bit challenging to roll, but it wasn't. That was the first attempt with it. I was surprised that it rolled. I said I rolled it earlier, but I couldn't remember how much I'd had to do to the car to make it roll. I was thinking it was going to be quite tricky. It's kind of a small, low sports car, fairly low anyway. But no, that was very straightforward to roll. So, yeah, we move on next to the BMW M3. This is the car which Top Gear used in the Brit Car Challenge. Now, I know the one they used, I think, was a diesel. It wasn't the M3 version, but this is as close as I can get. Yeah, as I said, there's going to be some discrepancies with models, but, you know, it's Forza. They only have the fast versions of the cars. So, yeah. Now, I was thinking this one here might not be too hard to roll. It is fairly fast. It's the fastest car we have here. It starts off in about B class, I think, as I have a bit of a spin. Whoops, never mind. I saved it, kind of. Yeah, this is, as I said, the fastest car here. Might not be the grippiest car, but I would guess it has a fairly high or higher centre of mass than some of the cars that I am using. However, it is not proving too easy to roll. It kind of go on its side. I think the bodywork might be catching on the floor a little bit. I should also point out, actually, before I forget, that all of these paint jobs have been bought from the storefront because I don't have time to sit down and make them. And again, we're trying to roll. It's getting a little bit closer. It's sort of kind of close, but I don't think it's going to roll standard. I tried for a while, but it just doesn't quite do it. It goes on its side. I think it gets caught. Can't really see very well, and then I smashed it into the wall. May have damaged it a little bit. So it was off to the upgrade shop with the M3. Now, using what I learned last week, I put racing tyres on this car, figuring that the extra grip from then should kind of make it fall over, because as I said, it's not the lowest to the ground car. It's still a fairly low car. It's still kind of a sports coupe kind of thing. But yeah, I figured the race tyres would probably be all that it needs to roll over. But the first attempt I missed, which never helps matters. You still have to hit the right point on the curb to actually roll the car. That's kind of useful. But this is the next attempt after that, and sure enough, it rolled over. For a minute it looked like it wasn't going to, but there we go. It's now on its roof. I love how it scraped off the L of Larson, so now it just says arse on the door. Top Gear would be proud. Perfect planning, execution, whatever. I'm going to show this one from the cockpit view because it's a very strange roll, this one actually. It looks like it's going to stay on its side and just scrape along, and then all of a sudden it decides, nope, physics detect... that joke failed. It was going to be physics dictates. There we go. That's really hard to say fast. It's going to go on its roof. So yeah, a pretty spectacular crash from the BMW. Move on next to another BMW. This is the M6. Now I found this, or I remembered about this car completely by accident. I was searching for paint jobs under like a Top Gear name, and this one came up. And I thought, oh yeah, I remember that car. So I downloaded it and put it on the M6, and we're going to give it a go. I was also trying to use cars that I haven't rolled before. I've failed with the Fiat, but everything else I don't think I've rolled before. So yeah, I was going to give this car a go. I was thinking this one here might be a little bit tricky. It's a bit older than the M3, and the suspension is a bit softer, and I've managed to spin 2 BMWs in a row on the first attempts. Don't know what was going on with my driving. Not the most successful start to a Will It Roll. The paint job on here is really good. I'll put the people's names in the description so you can go and find. If you just look under the most downloaded ones, you'll probably find these because these are all fairly high up. That's where I found them. Anyway, so yeah, as far as rolling this car goes, I mean, it's a fairly quick car. Don't get me wrong, but the suspension is too soft. It is very bouncy, and as you see as it goes around here, no, it's not going to go. The suspension is far too soft, and it's probably high enough to kind of roll, but when you hit the curb, all the forces go into compressing the suspension rather than sort of flinging the car over. So I tried again for a while, but it's not going to happen. And no, it didn't really get particularly close. So again, it was to the upgrade shop. I may have clipped the wall a little bit. It wasn't the most successful time with the in the M6. So yes, it was to the upgrade shop, and to kind of vary things, I thought I'll give it a go with the suspension. This time the suspension is raised and stiffened on it, since that was what the big problem was last time. And sure enough, on the first attempt, there we go. The M6 has gone over in fairly spectacular style. Yeah, that's a bit of a trickier car to roll, that one. It's just the older cars have the softer suspension, which makes them very tricky to roll. Like the old muscle cars are some of the hardest things to roll in the game because it's just very, very soft suspension. But with a race suspension put on it, it was fairly straightforward. We move on next to the Toyota MR2. James May used this one in a rallycross race challengey kind of thing, and so I thought, well, I'll give this one a go. Not the most exciting of of challenge cars, not the most exciting of liveries either, but yeah, I like the MR2s. I'm actually looking at getting one of these as the next car, hopefully when I get some money, because I think these are really, really very good cars. As far as rolling it goes, I was expecting this one to be pretty damn tricky. I mean, look at it, it's low, it's wide. It should have a good amount of grip, which, as we've proved before, is very important when it comes to rolling the cars. But having such a low centre of mass is going to make it very tricky to roll. It has got plenty of speed, which is a good thing. You do need a certain amount of speed when it comes to rolling these cars, and I'd say this car is certainly fast enough, but it's not going to do it because it is just too low to the ground. You'll see through here, it kind of lifting its wheels off the ground. It hasn't got too soft a suspension, which is always useful because it's so low. Yeah, it's not going to go. And I said, with all these cars, I try them for about 15 minutes. Maybe less if it looks like it's never ever going to roll. With this car, it's probably a bit less than 15 minutes. But nah, it's not going to roll standard. Probably sideways on the grass will, but anything will if you do that. So off the curb, no, it's not going to happen. So I went to the upgrade shop and I went to put race tyres on. However, that didn't actually work with this car. This car is too low to the ground. So when you put race tyres on it, it doesn't actually do anything. I mean, it goes more onto two wheels, but it just gets caught on the floor. So it was resorting to the race suspension. There we go. I will remember the parts. This is still running on standard tyres. So I put the race suspension on, raised it and stiffened the suspension, and sure enough, this is on the third attempt, I think it is. There goes the MR2 as it tumbles around. Ooh, nearly. That stayed on two wheels for a remarkably large amount of time. Yeah, that's a new thing that we have discovered about rolling cars. Race tyres work at rolling cars that got a little bit higher ride height. On a car like this, it's really low to the ground. Putting the race tyres will get it on its side, but it will just get caught on the floor. So we move on to our final car. This is the Mazda MX5. This is Clarkson's one, which he modified for desert sneaking. There was a couple of paint jobs of this on the storefront. Neither of them are quite perfect. So yeah, the red stripe on here should technically be pink, but that's close enough. So yeah, don't criticise that. The other one had other issues with it as well. So yeah, this is the one that I'm using. It might be a slightly wrong generation MX5 as well, but this is what I've got in Forza. Is what I come up with. There also should be some other modifications, but again, you know, it's not in Forza, so I can't really do anything. Anyway, when it comes to rolling this car, well, it's going to be difficult. Much like the MR2, it is wide, it is low to the ground. It actually got quite close there. I was really surprised it got that far onto two wheels. But nah, it's not going to roll too low a centre of mass. Also, it is a little bit slower than the MR2. I believe this is a D-class car. Hasn't quite got as much speed, which is also going to make it a little bit trickier to roll. But you can see, it's a bit of a funny one. I was surprised it actually got as far on two wheels as it did, and I could not replicate that. I tried for a while. I think after seeing that was a very early attempt as well. I thought, oh, it might actually do it, but no, it didn't. This car will have good levels of grip, but I think it's just too low to the ground. One thing that I didn't test out with the investigation one that I did, that car was fairly high ride height to start with. So yeah. That seems to be something else that we have learnt from this week. So, upgrade shop. Again, I did try race tyres just for investigation purposes, and it didn't cause this to roll either. because of the low ride height. So it was race suspension. I didn't stiffen the suspension on this one, it was just raised ride height. It makes the car look a little bit strange, I have to say. I hit one of the wrong curves and completely lost it before we got to the normal curb for rolling it. Yeah, that doesn't help matters. It also made the car a little bit trickier to drive. It's a bit odd with this car. Normally, like if you put like, the raised, stiffened, cambered and everything, yeah, then that's quite tricky to drive. But on this one, it was a little bit strange as I'm kind of sneaking, save it. Ah, damn it. Nearly saved it. I've spun 3 cars out here. That's not been the most successful. Also, all the cars begin with M, with the exception of the Fiat that wants to be different. Everything else has got an M at the start of its name. Only just realised that. Anyway, after about 5 minutes, the MX5 went over without too much effort, and there we go. It is parked, and I was trying to remember where the camera was and forgot. But never mind. Yeah, that was a bit of a trickier car to roll, but again, fairly straightforward. Once you put the suspension on it, it wasn't too bad. I also love the damage on this car. If you look around the side, you kind of look at the side profile of the bonnet, and you go around the other side, it's left like a perfect sort of bit in the middle intact, while the other 2 sides are bent in. I love Forza damage system sometimes. It looks interesting. There are other cars that do this as well, but yeah, it looks a little bit strange. Anyway, that is it for this week, guys, so thank you very much for watching. Next week, I'm not sure what we're going to be doing, so if you would like to leave your suggestions for themes in the comment section, I'll have a look through, and my favourites will be in a video at some point. However, until next time, goodbye.